So fix it.
The whole
Look at
thing is
yourself.
going to be on the fly.
1 minute.
Who's going to give me Winston?
Yeah,
Where's
right here.
Winston? Okay.
I'm sorry, but it's not even. And you cannot.
You're going to do this on camera. Get out of here.
We're at 29. We're live in 1 minute.
Get
We're live
out.
in 1 minute.
Thank you.
I don't hear anything on my headset, Nat.
We're still live in 1 minute.
He has it on.
He has it on. He doesn't hear anything.
30 seconds.
Hurry up. We got no. He has to come here. I can't bring it in there.
Excuse me, I have your water.
Thank you, I'll get it at 20 seconds, so.
Yeah, you're not hearing us. I'm not hearing anything. Maybe that's the whole thing.
Get off.
We're gonna move this out of your face because it's right in your face.
And just to lower it, that's all. There we go. Thank you.
I don't have my headset, Sister Camille, so I'm out of the picture till they get me hooked up.
Where's the person who says go? Well, here we are again. You found me and I found you here at Ancestor House. You know, here at this very spiritual, special place, we tell the story of the great African people, those born on the continent, those in diaspora. One of the stories I like to tell is of the tradition of what people call the griot. There are many names that carry that profession, that job, that good tradition that is carried. And it's the storyteller, if you will, who knows all the customs, who knows the prayers, who knows the rhythms, who knows the rituals. They know more than just the storytelling, you know. And so here, today we're going to talk about some storytellers. We're going to talk about some people who work in that tradition. I was looking at the Amsterdam News yesterday, and it had articles in it about how our voice, the voice of people of African ancestry, is moving, being disappeared from the radio. There was a time when we, people of African culture, would get up, turn on the radio, and all day long we'd hear our story being told by various people who knew it and whose intent was to inspire our people. It seems that has changed, and so we're going to focus on those people, those folk who are elevating the story again. Well, by now you know you have arrived at Ancestor House, and that I am Nana Camille Yarbrough, here to help tell you more of our stories. There, in a minute, we're at a new studio now, so you might see things kind of out of order, but right now there's a bridge that comes up, and it's going to show you pictures of my travels and our travels with Dr. Leonard Jeffrey. A little different today, but come on, go with me. I'm not going to sing the song of the music. I'm just going to keep on going. Maybe I'll do it here. Libation in tradition is a ritual, one of the oldest rituals of prayer. It deals with the forces of nature. It deals with, first, the spirit that's deep inside of us, and as that spirit comes out on words, the words go into the air. And that spirit heats the air. If it's true, the spirit heats the air around us. And then you pour water through that air. And the water rejuvenates. It refreshes. It brings the word even more to life. And then you pour that water, refreshed and rejuvenated and activated, you pour that into the earth, Mother Earth. And in that Mother Earth, what happens? It grows. So whatever we're going to say here today will be magnified. It has to be true. It will be stronger. And so listen carefully to our guests, 2 guests. There's an event that's coming up, and we're going to be talking about the event tomorrow, and these guests will be there, and we want you to go and see them and share with them the story of our people. Now, you come on, I'm just going to walk over to where I go, and I'm going to meet my guest, and I'm going to put my, Cameron, you're going to have to follow me now. I'm going to put my hands on their shoulders because we're just meeting today in one way. And then I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, and then I'm going to sit down. All right? Come on, follow me, follow me, follow me. I'm going this way, this way, this way. Okay, the bridge is there, but there's no music to it. So we pass the music. Okay. How you doing?
I'm good.
You do it okay. You blessed? You blessed too? Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. This is a big change up. Girl, somebody told me.
That's how they pass on their legacy. For people who don't know and tell their family story are doomed to extinction, to a life of illusion, confusion, and collusion, doomed to a life of playing bit parts in the fantasies of others. For your family story is that emotional anchor that keeps you from drifting. It's like the intellectual compass that points the way to go. The family story.
We're back, and we're going to meet 2 artists who carry on the tradition as storytellers, telling our story.
Okay, your mic is gone.
Okay, the mic is going. Hold on. Is your mic going? Wait. Are the guest mics on?
Yes.
Your mic is on?
I can't even find your mic.
Your mic is on? Okay, we're going to ad-lib right up in
Should I
here.
play some music?
Yes, so take brother on camera. He's going to play some music right now.
Hello? What is your name? Masauko.
Say that again.
Masauko. I'm gonna sing a song called Makolo. Makolo is a word from Malawi in southern Africa. Makolo means ancestor. And since we've been talking about ancestors, I will put this song out first as sort of a libation to the spirits that move with me. We have come to share the wisdom of a people, talking drum, speaking in rhythmic tongues to bring some elevation. We have come protected by those that came before us. We are from spaces inside of God's own heart. Come know the greenness of love's touch. Makolo akale dinumbuye wanga. have come to open the door that you keep closing. Get some, come get some of everything that these spirits have to offer. A community at peace. Makolo akale dinumbuye wanga Makolo akale dinumbuye wanga. Hey, 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 bada, 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 bamba, bop, bida, bada, bamba, bop, bida, bip, bop, bop, bip, bop, bop, bip, bop, bop, bip, bop, bop, bada, bop, bada, bada, bop, bada, 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 bop, bop, bop.
Beautiful, brother. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We haven't even gotten into what this is all about yet, but that was a lovely opening. I really appreciate it, especially if you're dealing with the ancestors, because this show is called Ancestor House, and you're the right people, right song to open it up with. Now, there's an occasion coming up.
Yeah.
What's your name, sister? You're sitting here looking.
Toni Blackman.
Give me your hand. Thank you very much. Toni Blackman. Nice to meet you this time.
Yes.
And understand that we're meeting for the first time this brother here.
Masauko Chipembere.
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 Okay, if I mess that up, I'm sorry. I'll try and come back to it. There's an event happening tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
And a lot of it has to do, it says, it's from Aquila Works songs. Now, many of you have heard of Sister April Silver and that organization, which has been jumping here in New York City and around the country. So tomorrow they're celebrating 20 years of arts and activism. Live. You are part of the guests, but there's a whole lot of them. I'll show you this later on so you'll be able to see it. It says elevating. What does that mean? You're, as artists, what are you?
Well, as artists, I think a lot of the work that we do and the artists that are affiliated with Aquila Work Songs, each of us is committed to elevating the art, elevating music, elevating culture, and elevating ourselves. A lot of what happens in our world doesn't occur from higher space or from higher self. And so we've taken on the responsibility in terms of being accountable for not only our present day, but for the future. I mean, in terms of us taking care of the earth and the world. For the young people that are going to be older.
Now you're saying elevating from what? What needs elevating? Is there the spirit needs elevating?
The spirit needs elevation. The spirit seems to be in a low consciousness in the time we're in, especially around arts. There's a tendency for the music that's being put forth to have oftentimes a damaging effect. And I think this is it's sort of a calculated thing that's occurred because of the fact that I think the music that we were producing, late 60s, early 70s, it came to a peak and music really started shifting the consciousness of the people.
People of the society changed.
And so once that happens, and I think, it fell again a little bit somewhere there. We went into disco and all of that.
Well,
and then it came back, I think, a little bit.
We're going to get to Toni talk about hip-hop.
It came back a little with the hip-hop. It came back in the early 90s, which is really our era. We are products of that time, close to 40 people.
So you remember the elevated
We remember
art
when
form.
hip-hop was about knowledge of self, and we remember when hip-hop was actually the first teacher for many of us about Africa and feeling proud that way. So we're coming from the tradition, I believe, that brings you, goes back to Duke Ellington, but gives you everybody from Bill Withers and Mary McKebba to.
I heard little Mary.
Yes, that's my Mama Africa. So we're coming from that tradition and extending that tradition in a time when that tradition has been a little bit pushed to the side.
The heartbreaking part is because I go back before that time. I'm seeing all of these changes
I
come
know your
about.
work.
You do? Okay, good. Good. But you know, mine came from Paul Robeson. Mine came from because he was in action when I was a little girl and watching and listening. Mine came from Josephine Baker, as quiet as it's kept. But many, and Catherine Dunham, with whom I worked for years. But in studying the culture, that's our tradition, is to uplift and inspire.
Yeah.
That's our music. And I have to say a little bit about the church, because they got it, they moved it a little bit. I saw a brother, a minister, famous minister, do his thesis, and he did a PowerPoint thing, and he talked about the music at the beginning, shouts and all that stuff. And then he said, the devil took something called the blues and went that way with it, and that we did gospel, you know, raising up God. But he separated the music, you know what I'm saying? And made the blues bad. Blues was not bad. Blues was people were speaking. It wasn't just about I lost my man or I lost my woman. It was about much more than that. It was telling the news. So now, in the movement period, that's what we were doing. Curtis Mayfield and all those great people. Then you got it right. Then the 90s came.
Correct.
And you had the benefit of that. You knew that.
Yeah.
And then this terrible thing happened to hip hop, which was a stroke of genius by our young people again.
Right.
How can we avoid? So this show, you're elevating again the music. And the spoken word, which is what you
and
do.
celebrating that April Silver and Aquila Worksong has been doing this for 20 years and committed to it, and then really acknowledging the work of artists like us and organizers and activists like April. We've been at this our entire lives. Like, this didn't come about
as yourself.
at a certain pace. And so since we were teenagers, the teenagers we serve, we were exactly how we are now is how we were then. And so if we don't commit to this whole concept of elevating the arts in our culture, then it's just going to continue to fall.
To fall. You can do it from the stage by example. You know, you can show.
Yes.
However, what I'd like to share with our audiences from you, what you think, what caused the change? What caused hip hop, which was a form put together to inspire, to uplift, inform, all of those good things, what caused it to go into a decadence kind of a place where language became kind of defiled? People were name calling and rap and what they say, having beefs against one another and all of that. What happened? What caused that?
Can I speak to that a little bit?
Sure.
A lot of it starts with we've never been able to value our culture in this context, because we can ask the same thing when we see Kenny G play jazz. What happened to jazz the way we knew it?
Absolutely.
And so one of the mistakes that I think from the beginning of hip hop that we had was we were going back to take certain aspects of the music. Okay, we're sampling Curtis Mayfield and so forth, but we weren't going back and reading, okay, the crisis is a Negro intellectual. We weren't going back and checking out all of the cultural information and political information.
Why weren't we going back?
Partly because we had been cut off. Cocaine did some serious damage to a generation of folks.
You talking about crack? Is that what you're talking about?
Pre-crack and
you're the first person,
post-crack.
artist I've heard talk about it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That did a lot of damage to some family connections. It
There
made
you go.
mothers not trust sons and sons not trust mothers.
And
so
mothers
forth.
strung out as well as sons and husbands.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which didn't happen too much before when they were on what is that other, people were getting strung out and stuff on heroin. Yeah, it wasn't as deeply involved in our family, but that cocaine, man, the mothers, look at even Tupac. His mother, who was an activist, a Panther,
yeah.
got strung out.
Yeah.
His story is our story. I think that's why
Yeah.
we connect with him. Here's this young man who's named after
Yeah.
a revolutionary from Peru who was fathered by another revolutionary from
right.
prison, and whose mother was a Panther,
Yeah.
and he finds himself
Falling through the cracks.
falling through literally the crack.
crack.
Right. And so, and you know, he tried, he
Yes, he
persisted
did. Yes, he
as
did.
much as he could. And he even tried to set a new code for the streets. He said this thug life thing he was doing, it was masked, but he was really trying to say, we need to put some rules back in place for how this works. Because you just being able to do anything to anybody's mama, anybody's brother, we
doesn't
can't
work.
survive that way.
Doesn't work.
And so we have taken a large blow in that sense
Yeah.
as a community, and unfortunately in many communities around the world emulate us.
Because we're influencing.
Yes.
Yes.
One aspect of the story that bothers me at the beginning, and you know, as John Henry Clark said, people don't give up their power. You have to take it for yourself, and it only comes with self-fulfilling. You know, your realization who you are. At the beginning, I saw too many people who were out there as hip hop artists go into ego trip and say, I want a following, so I want people to follow me. Then this one over there, I want people to follow me. And so it was not for the people anymore. It was for their little aggrandizement up there.
Yeah.
And it's separated from the tradition. We just talked
Yeah.
about that ancient tradition
Yes.
that gave jazz, hip hop, blues, spirituals, all of that. And it belongs to these young people, and it hurts me when I see them separate, say that's not
Yeah,
it.
and it's
And throw away.
a big part of the challenge was that
Yeah.
that concept. In hip hop, we have this word called the cipher, which
Yes.
really is about the circle and this communal gathering.
Right.
And it's rooted in our spiritual traditions. I know a friend of mine, her aunt, who was 74 back in 1974, used to use the word to talk about fellowship in a
Yeah.
church in Louisiana. But we've lost that collective idea, that collective
Sure.
spirit, the concept of collective work and responsibility.
Yeah, and it wasn't, I don't think it wasn't something that we did intentionally or that our young people did. I think it was something that was structured to keep
Yes,
power
indeed.
with
Yes.
these people, and they did not want the hip hop generation to
be
do
too powerful.
what the previous generation
Because
had done.
hip hop is still very powerful in some very positive ways. And one of the beautiful things that has come out of the ugly is that you have an entire 2 generations of hip hop lovers, appreciators who have become educators, who have become activists, who have become organizers, and who are using hip hop in some very productive ways in schools and outside the classroom.
I was
April
reading
is
that the other
person.
day.
April
Yeah.
Silver. April Silver is exactly
Yes,
that
coming
person.
up upsetting Howard University. the way
Yeah,
she
she
did.
did.
You know, she's exactly
But
that
it,
person.
I'm a little nervous about that because I've seen, it was this guy, it was on YouTube yesterday, I was watching it. They don't bring the continuum,
No.
which means you're spaced. You know, it has to be based on, and also this whole thing about getting away from using racism or race, or take it into colorism, which has no basis in land, in culture. It's just color. And it won't grow that way. It won't heal.
Right.
These young people need to know who they are. Now you do it. Where was the song from you did from?
The song is from, I wrote it and I've used some words from Malawi. in
Malawi,
Southern Africa. My parents are from Malawi. I was born in Los Angeles while they were in exile.
Exiled from what?
From the Kamuzu Banda regime.
The what? Was there something to be feared there?
Yeah, the regime that took over post-independence in Malawi was run by a man called Kamuzu Banda, who had aligned himself with the apartheid regime. He was a black president, but he'd aligned himself with all the forces behind white supremacy, which is not a new thought, is it?
No, it isn't.
That one's going around these days. It's airborne, right?
Oh man, is it?
But that's one of the spaces where, you know, so I come from having a family that has really seen the results of the inner family struggle, because one of my things that I'm really big on these days is we really don't need to study too much what that other guy is going to do. He's consistent.
do what you do.
We gotta do
What
we
we're
gotta
doing.
do us, and
Yeah.
we look at us
And
and
it's
figure
so
out how.
powerful. It really upsets me sometimes when I see a grand affair like the one they did the other day about, helping the people who were victimized by the storm. And it used to be a time when black artists put their foot on the stage, everybody else said, wow,
Mm-hmm.
it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm,
gone.
mhm.
Because we were convinced that we needed to give it up
Yes.
in order to be a part of. And now we are not a part of because the power still hold the power.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to this. I'm not sure that I can be there because I do have some physical things I'm overcoming now.
Yeah, speaking
But-
of April and the protests back at Howard in 1989, Raz Baraka will also be there.
Oh, he will.
Yeah.
Raz Baraka from New Jersey.
Yes,
Is
from
it-
New Jersey, the son of Amir Baraka.
Baraka,
He'll be there.
the
He'll be
principal of a school there.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, he's going to be there. All
there.
right.
And he'll
Excellent.
be performing.
And it was he and April who upset Howard University, had it closed down. Because of what? What was that about?
Well, Harvey Lee Atwater was being placed on the board and had a lot of very racist policies
Yeah.
and was not really for the people.
Yeah.
And Howard University administration was quietly sitting by, allowing this to happen. And the students looked at it and said, this isn't right. And they organized and
Good.
they
Good.
stopped it. And what was beautiful is that at that time, we also engaged numerous elders. Everyone showed up from Sonia
Good,
Sanchez
good,
to
good.
Jesse Jackson to Marion Barry. And it was a very, very powerful time. I think Bill Cosby even supported it.
Yes.
And hip hop was a big part of what was going on because that's when Public Enemy
Absolutely.
in 1989
Like
was
the
blowing
bar.
up and Chuck
Yeah.
D
Yeah.
and,
You're right.
and
And
all
I
of
was
those
in Los
businesses.
Angeles, and I heard about the work that was going on at Howard
In
through
Howard,
friends
wow.
that came back to Los Angeles and explained that to us. And I was in a little enclave called Leimert Park out there. And
I know Limburg Park.
You have to.
And April was born out there.
I didn't
She
know
grew
that.
in L.A.
I didn't know
She
that.
knows Limburg Park, yes.
So in Leimert Park, the
Right.
folks out and what they were doing out in Washington, D.C. became a little bit legendary because we're a small little enclave of black folks trying to keep it together.
Yes.
And so it's like, wow, look what they're doing out there. So it's another instance of seeing where, someone would think that only affected D.C., but it sent a little shout out to our whole generation. Like, well, what are you doing where you are if they're doing all that over there?
That's what was happening at that time. We had better communication. What people were doing in New York, they knew about in Texas, and in Chicago and New Jersey and all those places. So, and that's kind of been changed around a bit. But you guys, there are, how many people are in the show?
Should be about, how many of us? There's about 8 of us, I believe,
Yeah, there
performing.
may be 10, yeah.
There may be
10
8 to 10.
performers,
Yes.
And where is it going to be?
It's at Baruch Performing Arts Center at Baruch College at 24th and Lexington in Manhattan.
At what time?
2:30 to 4:30.
Y'all gonna show out?
And we're gonna show,
show
out.
We're going to show out. We're going to kind of problematize this whole, we're going to bring some light to it,
Bring
but we're
the
going to
light.
show you what the artists are going through, and we are going to transcend while showing you what the artists have been going through. We're not going to deny this time.
I was lucky, having been born at the time I was born, and you are too, because I'm sure there are people that you can draw from who are positive at this point. But to have seen such great artists and going, at that time you can go to the movies and you could sit in there. They didn't put you out after the first showing.
we did that too,
I
but
would
they didn't let
see,
us. We just did it anyway.
I would sit there and see show after show after show, and watch the greatest of our artists up there on the stage. I was studying. You
Yes.
study
Yeah,
that
yeah,
way. So I hope that we can again do that when the people come to see the show tomorrow
Right.
at Baruch, right? At 7 o'clock.
Right.
Yes.
And what's the address? At
It's 55 Lexington.
Lexington.
And it's
They're gonna see
Lexington
that
and
again when they
24th.
see
Yeah, and it's
Okay.
it's an afternoon show, which is great for Sunday. So 2:30 in the afternoon.
yeah, that's very good. That's very
And
good.
people can come,
That's very good.
celebrate, feel honored, be in the space of the spirit. There are going to be a lot of folks showing up. Dougie Fresh is coming
Fresh?
through. Yeah, Susan Taylor's coming
Oh
through.
my goodness.
And then Mo Beasley, who's ran
Yes.
Urban Erotica for 10 years.
Urban what? Yes, Mo Beasley.
Bo Beasley, yeah, and Camille Brown, the dancer.
Oh, yes.
Yes, Jamie Filbert, the dancer. It's
And M.K. Lewis, the comedian.
Yes,
Let's
yes.
see who else is here. I can't read the names.
Pretty
It's
nice.
so
And
small.
there'll be a post-show reception and
with food.
with food.
Don't
For
forget to mention
everybody. Wine and
DJ
cheese.
Lumumba.
Huh?
And DJ Lumumba.
Who is he? I don't know. that person.
Lumumba
What is he?
Bendele. He's
Oh,
you know him. He was
Yeah,
dealing with the
yes.
cop watch and all
Yes,
that, and they
yes.
were bothering him.
Malcolm
Oh,
X
yes.
grassroots movement,
Oh,
educator.
yes. That's right. Oh,
And a
God, yes.
phenomenal DJ and musician. And I think what's also beautiful about what April has done is she's like assembled this collective
Variety.
of serious artists who
Yeah.
are masters of their craft,
Yes.
but who are also highly intelligent, highly educated, and connected to community at the same time.
Active
and
in the community.
active in the community, and she brings us all together.
So y'all just not up there showing out. We ain't not beautiful. You're not
No,
talented.
it's so
You
much
have
deeper.
something else to
Yes.
tell.
No,
to
we
tell
take it
the
in,
people.
we go in there, and we're gonna go in tomorrow.
Where are you from?
I'm from California. My family's from Louisiana.
Oh, that saves it.
Bunkie, Marksville, Shreveport. Yeah, I grew up on
Louisiana.
gumbo and collard greens.
Very good. Then you're acceptable. Deal with that. I'm from Chicago, South Side. Don't talk about man. That's something else going on. 50-some odd people were shot yesterday, killed yesterday.
Yeah.
South Side.
Really?
And that's
And
see
we didn't
that's
hear
something.
about that because those 50
yes,
people.
because they're talking about Connecticut. They're
Right.
talking about that massacre, which is
Right.
horrible. But that's nothing unusual in Chicago
Right.
Wow.
or across the country.
Across
No.
the
See,
country.
this is what I'm saying. We have to get to those young people who are lost. They don't
Right.
know. And they're brought up not having skills at negotiation or how
Yeah.
to talk. The first
Yeah.
thing you look at television, look at the movies, you take out the
Right.
gun, you take out
Right.
this. That has to be changed. And artists can do that.
Yeah.
That's our job. That's
Yeah,
part of
yeah,
our
yeah.
job.
Yeah. I think that's the main thing. I really respect what's been going on with April and her institution for. They've sort of been
Right.
what that's the thing I think we didn't have is we haven't had institutions. I got my first roots at the World Stage in Leimert Park, where Kamal Daoud and Billy Higgins, the jazz drummer, were. And Kamal
yeah.
Daoud always used to say, "This is a place where you come to deposit your tears." When you bring it here, we don't
Yeah.
care what you bring. Bring it
Yeah.
from your
Yeah,
deepest
bring it from
space.
deep, bring it from
And-
soul.
and,
We have to say that word
you know,
again. So.
Yes. And so I feel like one of the things that they're offering is a collective of people that's consistent about being involved with arts and activism. And I think that's what we need. We need institutions.
that.
We need to be able to say, okay, if you want to do that particular building on our tradition, we will create a space for you to do
To
it.
do it.
Because that's,
And they have to be familiarized or just educated through the word. We don't think of our people as a traditional people, and we have to. We got
And we-
ancient traditions.
We
We're
have
the
ancient
first.
traditions, and
Yes.
one
We're the
of
first.
one of my biggest supporters of my work has been Aquila Work Songs, and
Yeah.
the work I do with ciphers, and including for rappers and MCs and poets to come through and rhyme and spit, and poets who like Abi Odun from the Last Poet, who have these regular salons, inspire me to keep going on, because it really is about institution building and
It
creating
is.
something that
It
can
is.
last,
It
and
is.
not buying into the machine and
And the
getting trapped in the
individualism
matrix.
that
The
is out there.
individualism, which is one of the
Yeah.
biggest challenges
Yeah.
with some of the work that I do, is being able to engage and retain artists so that they understand. Look, all we got to do, you give 25% of your energy here. This can last. This can survive, and it can prosper, and the next generation can benefit from what we created.
If you think family, if you think generation, if you think
Yeah.
you are a part of a huge, marvelous family, who is the mother of the world, mother and father of humankind. Once they know that, I think there will be a lot of changes. But you spoke of your work. What are you going to share with us today here on Ancestor House?
You want to get down?
Oh, today we're gonna. I haven't decided yet.
Well, you have about 2 seconds to decide. What to
It'll
do.
come
It'll come as you
because
stand at the
because
microphone.
I'm in the ancestors' house.
Yes.
I let the ancestors
Tell
speak.
you what to do.
And once I'm there, the ancestors guide me. Bam, mouth open, words hit.
It comes out.
It comes out.
There are 2 microphones over there. You can
Let's
use
do it. whichever
whichever you want.
Oh, word.
There we go. There we go. You got her? Yeah. Nope, not yet. They're coming. Camera's coming. Uh-huh.
So,
Toni Blackman.
I'm Toni Blackman.
Yes.
I'm an artist, I'm a poet, I'm an MC, I rhyme, and I love to perform.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see that camera right there?
Yes.
That's yours.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. We in the house, yeah. Woo! The Ancestor's House, yeah. So check this. Didn't know what I would spit. I told Nana, yeah, I'm quite legit. I said, don't worry, I won't slip, but I might get open and make you flip. Check this as I turn the script and the page, shake my hips as I got a little rage and afro. I said, like Angela D, but my name it be Toni B, setting free. Here in Harlem, on the east side, I don't know, said fast I did drive to get here, to make it on time so I could share a piece of my heart, a lot of my mind, see, yeah, tomorrow, we won't be crying, no tears of sorrow, we gonna celebrate, yeah, because we relate, April Silver is the queen, yeah, no need to debate, why, we in the house, we in the house, Ancestor's House, what, we in the house, yeah, the Ancestor's House. Yeah, we in the house. We in the house. The Ancestor's House. Woo! We in the house. We in the house. We in the house. So check it. Do I have a second verse? I don't know where I'm going cause it's all unrehearsed. I let the lyrics disperse from my soul. I let the ancestors channel through me. That's the goal. I put my hands up. I close my eyes. I sit right here so I can recognize. I mean, I stand. Brooklyn, stand up. That's where I live at. Yeah, say what? Yeah. Nana Camille, she's been doing this. Yeah, she's keeping it real. Yes, with Nana Camille, she giving you something you can feel. The real deal. Said we talk until they tell us to stop. Yeah, we just came to rock. Said we came to make it hot. We never be cold, but we be kind of cool. Said yes, we on the road. Yes, why? We in the house. Woo. The Ancestor's House. We in the house. We in the house. Woo. The Ancestor's House. We in the house. The Ancestor's House. We in the house. We in the house. We in the house. We in the house. And we gonna close it down and bring it to the end. Yeah, we in the house. See the lyrics and the beat, yeah, to be my friend, yeah. We in the house. Me and Masauko said we love to flow, yeah. We in the house. I'ma wrap this up, said we going to go, what?
Beautiful, beautiful, happening. At the point it leaves your mouth and your head, it's happening. That's beautiful.
Yes,
All right, thank you for that. I didn't expect it, but it was such a gift. So very nice. So that's what you do when you go out. You make things up. You know, it's improv all the time.
Well, you
Is that
know,
what
I have a book
do
of
things, you
poetry.
work,
I write.
yeah.
I've worked on Ethelbert Miller's one of my writing mentors. I have a lot of influences. And then also I write songs and material. Plan to release a lot of it in partnership with a digital distribution company next year. But also the freestyle is a significant part of my life because I do believe that once you've learned how to think on your feet and you've mastered it, then there's very little that can throw you off center and off balance. And it's one of the things that's missing from popular music today, particularly from rap, is the ability to be truly spontaneous. Because you can't be truly spontaneous without speaking from the heart.
That's right.
And so we hear a lot of artists / entertainers who are incapable of connecting their content to the heart, and it's difficult to lie if you're speaking from the heart.
You can't.
It
shows on your face, and your mouth gets befuddled.
And I always tell her what she's doing is really, it's in the tradition of what Coltrane was doing.
Yeah,
It's improvisation.
Sure.
Coltrane probably would have done it with words if they wouldn't
If
have
that was his
arrested him
thing.
or threw it in the back.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I think us evolving this thing into words, it came because of what Baraka was doing and Sonia Sanchez and yourself, and the last poets and so forth. What they did is they took a lot of that jazz influence at the point when we're tired of always hiding this behind instruments. We're going to say what we want to say.
Well, the
And
word
so-
is first.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
The
word
word
is
is first.
Yes.
Coming from that heart, that
Yes.
thing.
Sure.
And many musicians that I've read and I've spoken with, actually, from the old African schools say the music was created to sound like the words. That's how we. That's how people say there's talking drums, and the rhythms, the patterns are set up to imitate the words. So, but you have to be trained to hear it. Everybody. That's why they have the royal drummers. Who we had a couple of them on our shows, and they would then they would translate it. And I said, really? Okay. Translate. But the rhythms, many of the rhythms were created from sentences. From speaking, and then you speak it over and over, and then you get a pattern, that kind of thing. So, and the word has a thought, and that's the foundation of it all. But we have our great jazz musicians, and that was jazz in a way, as the brother said.
Yeah, sure.
And you broke rhythm many times, and and then you went back, and all those things. That's genius. That's us, right?
That's us.
Yeah.
That was great. That was great. So you're going to do some more of that tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow
At the
we're
theater.
going to do a song that's pre-formatted, and then also we're going to close with, of course, we got to improvise at the end. And I think it's very important that at our events that we continue to celebrate our tradition and,
And
have
build on
that-
it.
Have that moment of improvisation at the end.
Oh,
So whether
wow.
it's an event at the church, at the mosque, a family gathering, a wedding, a funeral, one of the things that's often missing now is that we cut ourselves off from our music, from our poetry, and we don't make space or time for it.
It is. I had a conversation with the great Bob Lord. You know Bob Lord?
Yeah.
He hosted the show a couple of weeks ago, twice, and we were talking about the church again. I'm going back to that thing. But and I lost my point, that's why I'm hesitating right now. But we have to allow that freedom to be there, to take place, because that's how it grows. That's where it grows. You, my brother, blessed us with one song. Do you have something else that you
Sure, I'd
would
love
like to
to.
share?
Love to. Thank you.
Tell us about it. Tell us about it.
Okay, I will. Let me see here. Okay, because this song, I'll do this one. It's called Finger Painting a Masterpiece. And the song kind of tells its own story. It's really about the possibilities that are available once we choose to love.
I can just think of being in love with you, and every wish seems true. Not just for me, people everywhere get to see kids grow up strong and free. Finger painting a masterpiece. Warm rain kiss the driest ground. Sweet fruit for the hungry in every town. Calendars with war marked out of date. Unarmed soldiers meeting face to face. Our children strong and free. Finger painting now, Lord. I can just feel that being in love with you is my wish come true. It's what will be if people everywhere live like we want to see. Our children strong and free. Finger painting a masterpiece. Warm rain kiss the driest ground. Sweet fruit for the hungry in every town.
make all this happen. No, not even 'cause I love you, but I can wish if I want to. I wish if I want to. I wish if I want to. Our children strong and free, finger painting now. Lord, keep finger painting, child. Well, you got to keep finger painting, look out. Kids growing up are strong and free, finger painting a masterpiece. Well, kids growing up are strong and free, finger painting a masterpiece. Now, kids growing up are strong and free, yeah. Strong and free. I said strong and free. For Malcolm X I sing strong and free. For Marcus Garvey sing strong and free. For Ida B I sing strong and free. For Paul Robeson strong and free. For Stephen Biko, strong and free. For Sheikh Anta Diop, strong and free. For Mbuya Nahanda, strong and free. For Yah Asajewa, strong and free.
All right, beautiful, brother. Strong and free. All right, you have work to do. Yeah. Do you? We have about 10 minutes, and I like, because people do. They come away from the show with information, with directives. And how do you think that these churches that are full, I'm always going to churches because it's such a problem sometimes, they're full. People get up and they rush to the churches. When I visited my home, Chicago, and I went to church with my brother, and 8 o'clock service. Parking lot was packed. People rushing into church. Thousands of people in the churches. This is all over Chicago, all over other places. But every week, there's such murder with our young people. And they will say, well, they're not churched. They're not saved. So what do we do? We allow all of those. You have to
be the church.
You have to be.
You have to be the church.
But
you yourself are the embodiment of God.
How do they, in that building, with the minister, with all the money, how do they begin to affect the larger community?
I think the first step is very basic, and it's this idea of friends of mine always say, you got to live your worship. Like you don't wait to go into the building to worship. You live your worship, and that means you got to eat right.
No, because they're Muslim.
You still live your worship. You eat.
You're saying
you eat good food.
So is different than me, and so that's what I'm saying. You've got to be the church, and what I mean by be the church is that you've got to recognize God where you see it, whether it comes in Muslim or whether it comes in Christian or it comes in Buddhism.
You are absolutely right. Now, how do we get there?
Well,
all I can do, I'll tell you, for me, how I see that we get there is, I went to church all the time. I was sent there from a very small age. My children do not go to church, and they don't go to church because my philosophy with them is you take the church with you. You are that walking embodiment of God.
But you're giving them something at home.
Absolutely.
Which includes the rest of humankind.
They walk with the ancestors, and they also know that you also can learn something. My mother, I never was really one who fell too deep in the church thing, even though it took me all the time. But my mother stopped me one day and she said, you know what though, I want you to think about something. Even if you don't dig this whole church thing, think about the story of Jesus and check that out close. Here's a man who came to show nothing but love to people. And folks got together and chose a common criminal over him and killed him for trying to show nothing but love.
What was the
So
lesson
she
you
said, so if you want to go be a musician and show the world nothing but love, you better do that because that's what you were born to do. And don't expect necessarily that you'll get that back. They may choose to stone you, but you must do that because you stand on a foundation of principles where that's who you are.
Let's get practical here. You're talking to ministers who make their religion, make their living off of this philosophy. And they keep people bound in that. When I say you're not church, because people will say, well, they're not, you know, they look down on others. Even those who are into Santeria, into the ancestors, there's a great division. You as artists, on that stage, you know what happens, one thing that artists do. The miracle, when you're sitting in the audience, you come there and you sit to see a play or to hear Nina Simone sing a song, and you say, really? And that artist is saying something that you're thinking, a problem you have, and the artist gives you an opening, an answer somehow. But how do we expand on that is what I'm saying. The problem is so enormous. I am so affected by what's happening, as you are, with our young people and with the elders who will not open up, who will not say, yes, you have this God, but we're all the same. I wrote the song called Family Forever because I saw what was happening to our people internationally, what's happening in the Congo to our people, in the Sudan to our people, that we are now doing to ourselves because we have been told that there's a God and we have to think about God, but your neighbor you can kill. So it's the situation is enormous, what I'm saying, and I'm not putting this on you, but I'm magnifying the point that artists, you are so powerful. And tomorrow, you and maybe 10 others are going to be gathering at Baruch College at
Baruch
what
Performing
time?
Arts Center at 2:30 in the
At
afternoon.
2:30. Where is that?
It's at 24th and Lexington. It's 55 Lexington Avenue in Manhattan.
In Manhattan.
But I think that problem you mentioned, though, when I think about it, honestly, one of the greatest solutions that I can offer to anybody out there, especially to my brothers, because that's where I see a lot of the problem is, be a good man. Like my work right now, I used to think my work was maybe to take this message of music everywhere and da-da-da, and that's part of my work. But respecting my wife and being a good example to my son is every bit as much of my work.
It's even more in some ways.
In many ways, because I think that my father led a revolution in Africa. He just came from some parents that gave him some morals and some good ideas about who he should be.
At home.
So
and this is what gets back to the crack.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So we have to repair that. We're not looking at that. Yeah. What happened, the damage that was done. So audience, family, you have artists here who are carrying on a tradition which is thousands of years old, which brought us through entrapment, brutality, brought us across the ocean in change, brought us through enslavement. It's those old principles, those old value system that you know about. If you can think about it, if you have any history, you know what they're talking about here. Go tomorrow. Tomorrow is Sunday, after church. You know, after and you're going to have food afterwards too. Go there and support what they're doing, because we can't protest all the time. He's got his pants hanging down, she got her dress all up. We can't do that. We have to change. And the way to change is to support those who have that vision and who can get up on the stage and hypnotize people into doing what they should be doing. So support them tomorrow. It should be a glorious affair. And all of you are going to do your things. And then you come on together and do your little cipher bit, right?
Kind of thread it together.
You said what it is.
That'll be great. That will be marvelous. And one, that's what I was going to say. You have a few minutes. Say to our audience what you want, something very personal from you to them about what you do and what they will see tomorrow.
Well, I think
don't look at me. Look at the camera. See that camera? That's your camera right there.
With what I do and what I've been striving to do for many, many years is really honing in and terms of being able to have the courage to speak truly from my heart and to share a truly authentic voice and to be soulful and to pour myself out without fronting, without wearing a mask, because we still wear the mask, as Paul Laurence Dunbar said, and how to take those masks off. And it's one of the reasons why I continue to work with younger artists and why I've been to 32 countries, Mama Camille, all over. And it's why I keep doing the work that I do, because I know this music is powerful. I know this art can make change. And I know how many people whose lives have been saved from it. And so as we move forward, I think more of us who are artists have to maintain our commitment to being artists and being creative. We can't define, we have to redefine. I was talking with Masauko about this recently, redefine what success is. We cannot take the description that mainstream media has provided for us, and that's the definition of what success is for us. We only have X number of hours on the earth in this lifetime. What are we going to do with them? We can't sit around worrying, fretting, being frustrated, resenting. We've got to get ourselves free.
Hope. We're going to give you some hope tomorrow. Hope's the new dope. That's what you need. Take that.
Oh, God.
Take that.
Oh, God.
Get high and don't ask why.
You're selling hope, not dope.
Okay. All right. That was pretty good. You did a shortcut there. But, we'll take that. I want to thank you for coming to Ancestor House today. It was kind of raggedy because this is first time new studio, but they have this marvelous new equipment here that we're all learning how to use. And, I think we did a marvelous job. I want to thank my crew who came over from the other studio, but I want to thank, what's his name, the two gentlemen who Richie and what is his name? Who helped us put this together. And I want to thank Winston, especially because he went and got these gels.
Right, Winston.
And brought them here for us.
Thank you, Winston.
And everyone who helped put this together. We didn't know what to expect. The other studio was big and other things, but now they're going to have these marvelous cameras over at the other studio. If you go there now, it's all torn apart.
Right.
And so it's an upgrade. And I appreciate your being here for our inaugural kind of go Ancestor House here.
Thank you for having us in the
No,
house.
it's you got some credits. You know, you've done some good work, and it gives me hope. Talking about hope, to see you, because after a while, it's when you get some age and you begin to look back and say, wow, it's been a journey, but it continues,
Right.
and you are that continuum. Oh, what I wanted to say though, what was that? It keeps jumping out of my mind. Hip hop, authentic hip hop,
Yes.
and that's what you're doing.
Yes.
You're not doing gangster. You're not doing any other thing that was put on there. I have to say goodbye now. All right, thank you for being here with us at Ancestor House this week. I'll see you next week. Thank you. All right, again.
It's natural for humans to do. I don't know if other creatures learn and tell their stories, but I suspect somehow, some way they do too. All the peoples of the world tell about their homeland, tell their children what the Creator and ancestors have done, what they envisioned, inspired, developed, the great battles they fought, the great victories they won. Then their children understand and can clearly see who and what they are, what their contribution should be. That's why all the peoples of the world learn and tell their story. That's how they pass on their legacy. Yeah. That's how they pass on their